By the summer of 1945, Japan was exhausted, its infrastructure crumbling under relentless attacks. Its cities bombed, reduced to smoldering ruins, resources depleted, leaving its people hungry and desperate, and people living in constant fear of the next air raid, the next loss. The imperial military, once formidable and seemingly invincible, was now a shadow of its former self, weakened and demoralized. Yet stubbornly, the leadership refused to surrender, clinging to a desperate hope. Propaganda called for every citizen, young and old, to fight to the bitter end, to defend the homeland at all costs, but most just struggled to survive, to find food, to protect their families. Among them was Tsutomu Yamaguchi, a man like any other, a 29-year-old naval engineer for Mitsubishi Heavy Industries, contributing to the war effort. Yamaguchi was in Hiroshima on a business trip, a routine assignment that would forever alter his destiny, eager to return home to Nagasaki and his young family, his wife and children awaiting his safe return. Hiroshima, unlike other cities that had already suffered greatly, had been spared the worst of the bombings, a temporary reprieve, and bustled with life, a vibrant city teeming with people going about their daily routines. For Yamaguchi, it was just a temporary stop, a brief interruption in his journey, before reuniting with his loved ones. A reunion he desperately longed for. The air was thick with tension. An undercurrent of anxiety permeated every aspect of life. Rumors of invasion swirled, fueled by fear and uncertainty, and the future was uncertain, a dark cloud hanging over the nation. No one could imagine the weapon about to be unleashed, a force beyond comprehension, a fire born from splitting the atom, a power that would reshape the world. In these final days, Japan stood on the brink of a new terrifying age, an era defined by atomic power. Yamaguchi, like millions of others, was simply trying to endure, to navigate the hardships of wartime, unaware he would soon stand at the epicenter of history, a witness to unimaginable devastation. The world was about to change forever, and he was about to be caught in the storm. The story of Tsutomu Yamaguchi begins here, a story of survival against all odds, in a nation battered but unbowed, a people facing unimaginable adversity with unwavering resolve. He was not a soldier, not a politician, but fate would place him at the heart of unimaginable destruction, a moment that would define his life. The countdown to Hiroshima had begun, the clock ticking towards a cataclysmic event, and Yamaguchi's life was about to be split in two, forever marked by the horrors he was about to witness. August 6, 1945. A date etched in history, a day that would forever alter the course of humanity. The morning dawned with a clear blue sky over Hiroshima, deceptively serene. The city was waking up, unaware of the impending catastrophe. Among the many going about their daily routines were Tsutomu Yamaguchi and his colleagues, Akira Iwanaga and Kuniyoshi Sato. They were preparing to leave Hiroshima, set to return to their homes in Nagasaki after a business trip. As they were about to board the train, Yamaguchi realized he'd forgotten his hanko, his personal seal, essential for official documents, and turned back to retrieve it from where they were staying. That seemingly insignificant decision, a momentary lapse of memory, unknowingly saved his life from the immediate blast. At 8:15 a.m., as he walked through a potato field on his way back to the train station, he heard the drone of a lone aircraft overhead, a B-29 bomber on its deadly mission. He paused, looked up towards the sound, and saw a small, dark object falling rapidly from the aircraft. In an instant, the world was consumed by an overwhelming flash of light, brighter than anything he had ever imagined. The force of the blast hurled him into the air like a rag doll. The world went white with searing heat, then plunged into darkness. Less than 2 miles from the bomb's hypocenter, the epicenter of unimaginable destruction, Yamaguchi was thrown into a vortex of chaos and devastation. When he finally regained consciousness, the sky was dark, obscured by smoke and ash. A monstrous mushroom cloud billowed above, a terrifying testament to the city's obliteration. His eardrums were ruptured by the deafening explosion. His body was covered in burns from the intense heat. He stumbled through what was once a vibrant city, now a desolate landscape of death and destruction. Miraculously, amidst the carnage, he found his 2 colleagues, both alive, though severely injured and disoriented. Together, they sought refuge in a makeshift air raid shelter, already overflowing with the wounded, the dying, and the desperate. Hiroshima, once a thriving metropolis, had been transformed into a horrifying vision of hell on Earth. For Yamaguchi, amidst the unimaginable horror, The instinct for survival was all that mattered, driving him forward. He knew he had to get home. He had to return to Nagasaki, to his family, to some semblance of normalcy. But the nightmare was far from over. Fate had another cruel twist in store for him. The first atomic bomb had irrevocably changed everything, ushering in a new and terrifying era. But for Tsutomu Yamaguchi, the man who had already survived the unthinkable, a second, equally devastating ordeal was about to begin. The world had entered the atomic age, and Yamaguchi was about to become a living testament to its terrifying power. On August 7th, Yamaguchi emerged from the shelter and into what was once Hiroshima, now a smoldering graveyard. The vibrant city he knew was unrecognizable, reduced to a wasteland of ash and ruin. Black rain began to fall, a sinister shower thick with radioactive fallout and debris. It mixed with the dust and grime, clinging to his burns and open wounds, a constant reminder of the devastation. Despite the searing agony that coursed through his body, a single thought drove him forward: to reach the train station. He had to get home. He was determined to find a way and return home to his family in Nagasaki. He and his surviving colleagues navigated the utterly devastated city, a landscape of unimaginable destruction. They were forced to pass countless dead and dying, their forms barely recognizable amidst the rubble. The eerie silence was broken only by the desperate cries for help. Pleas they were powerless to answer, each one a stab of guilt. Miraculously, amidst the chaos, they found a train miraculously still functioning and preparing to leave for Nagasaki. It was packed beyond capacity with wounded survivors, all desperate to escape the horror. The journey was a torment, a slow, agonizing crawl towards home. Yamaguchi's wounds remained untreated, and when he tried to explain what happened, his story was met with disbelief and skepticism. He desperately described a single, devastating bomb that had obliterated an entire city in an instant. But the scale of the destruction was so immense that no one could truly comprehend it, dismissing it as the ramblings of a traumatized man. Arriving in Nagasaki on August 8th, exhausted and in excruciating pain, he immediately sought medical help. But even the doctors, overwhelmed by the day's events, doubted his incredible tale of a city wiped off the map. Swathed in bandages and still reeling from the trauma, he finally made his way back home. He was utterly haunted by what he had witnessed and physically exhausted from the ordeal. As he stepped through the door, he desperately believed he was finally safe, that he had escaped the worst. But fate, it seemed, had other, crueler plans in store for him. Yamaguchi had miraculously survived one atomic blast, an event that should have been statistically impossible. Little did he know as he rested that an even greater horror was about to unfold, an unimaginable repeat of the nightmare. The shadow of Hiroshima, the indelible mark of unimaginable destruction, followed him relentlessly. The sense of safety he felt was a cruel illusion, a deceptive calm before an even more devastating storm. On August 9th, Yamaguchi, still injured, reported for work at Mitsubishi in Nagasaki. He tried to explain Hiroshima's destruction to skeptical colleagues. As he spoke, another blinding flash filled the sky. Nagasaki had been bombed. The force threw him to the floor, tearing apart the office. For the second time in 3 days, Yamaguchi was at the epicenter of a nuclear attack. His bandages were blown off, new injuries added to old. He stumbled into the ruined city, desperate to find his family. Against all odds, his wife and infant son had survived, sheltered in a tunnel. In a world destroyed twice, his family was alive. Relief and horror mingled. He had survived the unimaginable again. The nightmare had come home. Yamaguchi's ordeal was now a story of survival beyond belief. Yamaguchi's suffering was immense. Burns, radiation sickness, and relentless pain. He hovered near death, plagued by fever, vomiting, and bleeding wounds. The psychological scars ran deeper, survivor's guilt. Memories of 2 cities turned to ash. As a double-bombed person, he carried a unique, isolating burden. For years, he kept his story quiet, facing stigma and fear of discrimination. He rebuilt his life, but the bomb's shadow lingered. His wife later died from cancer. Only in later years did he speak out, feeling a duty to bear witness. "The reason I hate the atomic bomb," he said, "is because of what it does to human dignity." His testimony was a warning born from lived horror. Yamaguchi became a living testament to the true cost of nuclear war. His voice was a call for remembrance and peace. Yamaguchi's story was officially recognized only late in his life. He became the only person certified by the Japanese government as a survivor of both atomic bombings. This recognition validated his extraordinary testimony and cemented his place in history. In his later years, Yamaguchi became a passionate advocate for nuclear disarmament. At age 90, he spoke at the United Nations, pleading for a world free of nuclear weapons. "I have to pass on the truth to the next generation," he said. His message was simple: this must never happen again. He spoke not with anger, but with hope for humanity's future. Yamaguchi died in 2010, his life a bridge between tragedy and the urgent call for peace. His legacy endures as a warning and a beacon. Tsutomu Yamaguchi's journey through two nuclear hells is a story that demands to be heard. His experience personalizes the horror of nuclear war, reminding us of the real human cost. Remembering stories like his is vital. They are our link to the past and a warning for the future. These are not just Japanese stories, but human stories. They speak to our shared responsibility to prevent such catastrophe from ever happening again. Yamaguchi's suffering became a call for peace, not bitterness. His voice, and those of all, must continue to echo. We must listen, remember, and strive for a world free from the shadow of the mushroom cloud. Thank you for joining us on this journey through history. If you'd like to hear more stories that matter, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications. Together, let's keep these important voices alive.